Welcome to the Inflection podcast, where we explore the pivotal moments that have shaped us into who we are today. I am your host, Anabi, and I can't wait to dive into these moments with you. Let's get it. It's nice to have you with me here, Isaiah. Thank you so much for making the time to hop on. Yes, sir. One thing we're talking about before we jump in that I thought was very interesting is the place for product and how interesting that is. And, we were saying product is one of those spaces, one of those things that you can see outcomes almost right away. In my opinion, you launch a product, you get feedback, you get customers, you iterate, you fine tune. For those who like building, that's a lot of fun. Which brings us to OZZI, what that looked like, starting the product, getting it going. I could imagine you had MVP and all of that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, man, let's go.
I see you started off, worked at Amex, you had a few other gigs, and then boom, OZZI. What did that look like? I'm sure it wasn't overnight.
No, it definitely was not overnight. And my first product story, or the first time that I had to build a product, was in sixth grade. I was in Miss Morgan's class, and she had us write instructions on how to build or how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
So if you didn't write the explicit directions, put the knife into the jar, scrape peanut butter out of the jar, slide this peanut butter onto bread. Like she would put the peanut butter on her hand. She would grab the jelly straight with her hand. It was just hilarious. And it was a really great way at showing, this group of kids how to write stories to build what would become this sandwich that we would eat or not eat, depending on our instructions.
Oh my gosh.
So that's where it all started for me. And I got obsessed with building and putting things together after that point and making sure that my directions were clear. And product's hard, and it gets much more difficult as you start to build technology and as you start to go through iterations. But the feedback loops that you get if you like to build are really encouraging, because you get to know when you can make something better, or when you've made something good. And if you have a product that people love, it just makes you feel great on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started writing user stories sixth grade.
Yeah. But I didn't realize that I wanted to be a product person. I had no idea. That was just my first exposure to it. And looking back, I really loved it.
That's pretty cool. You've had a lot of about work experience. It's crazy, right? You see those things on LinkedIn or in job descriptions where, hey, we want you to be super experienced, 20 years of experience or whatever. And I have a daughter now, and I know you have kids too. I have an 11-month. I'm like, I should get her started on some things now. So by the time she's 20, she can say she has 20 years of experience.
I'm self-taught in technology. My education, my background, my undergraduate was finance, and my graduate degree was just a master's in business. And me taking a technical career route with American Express was just a really odd pairing for me specifically. That was just one of the many inflection points that got me to OZZI and where I'm at. And I've been thinking about this since we met earlier this week, and you were telling me about this podcast and stuff like that. And each inflection point in my life was a moment when the adversity that I was experiencing met some type of supportive community.
Wow.
So growing up, I experienced multiple episodes of gun violence. A friend of mine was killed. A family member almost lost his life in a drive-by. And my brother and I were both shot at by the same trusted adult.
Wow.
And
my gosh.
It was
trauma.
Yeah, to say the very least. My formative years were rocked with fear and insecurity, and all this stuff happened before I was 15. And if it wasn't for finding a community in the Boy Scouts, I'm really not sure where I'd be today, because earning my Eagle Scout was probably one of the most meaningful experiences that I had in my young adult life. Right when I needed the most, There was a community that showed me love and support and taught me how to be independent through serving other people, which was just a really important moment, especially with all these things that we had just experienced.
Yeah. And man, that's quite an origin story and catalyst for OZZI. Because when we spoke, one of the things I was curious about was the why behind OZZI and going down that path. So take us back a little bit. Amex, you worked at Amex for almost a decade or so, and then you left to start OZZI. What did that transition look like? And when did you know it's time to jump in?
The time to jump in, leading with that one, it was just a best guess, right? I had never founded a company before. Thinking back on it and knowing what I know now, I was crazy for leaving this Fortune 100 company that I had really solid career with. It was terrible. It was like not terrible, but it was a terrible idea looking back on it. But I've just been really fortunate to each time we've met adversity in our startup, we've also met a really supportive community that helped us through these things. Because I came to American Express with basically my own self-taught data background. I'm a self-taught data architect. And at American Express, I got a background in AI and product development. And
Yeah.
the real point of change with American Express was in 2015. I was director for global data operations at the time, and there was a distributed terror attack in Paris, France. There was 7 locations hit, 400 people were wounded, almost 200 people lost their lives. And my background with wanting to serve other people, combined with a tech community and a data community, we were able to, within 24 hours, identify everybody who swiped their cards in those areas that were affected. And we worked to get them psychological help, medical help, transportation help, whatever they needed. And that turned into a real-time web app that helped more than 50 million people across 300
Wow.
different crises over a 3-year period. And so in doing all of those things at a global scale in so many different languages and so many different markets, I felt, hey, I can do this. And traveling safely or being safe around the world shouldn't be just something that executives of big companies or governments have access to. It should be available to everybody. So in 2018, I said, hey, I think that I can do this on my own. And I left Amex and we started to build OZZI. And it was a real big leap of faith in myself and in those that were around me. And it's been a journey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. It's testament to something I've seen far too often, right? Of sometimes it's easy for entrepreneurs to jump too soon. What I see in your own experience is you took the time to learn in the trenches, like 10 years at Amex. All of that helps with the entrepreneurial muscle because everything you've done before, I think you carry forward. You spend time in the trenches, it reinforces for your own confidence, right? That you can do this. You've done it at a global scale, done it at a company. Now you can take all of that learning and then do your own thing. And that's something that I think a lot of folks don't think enough about. When I talk with entrepreneurs sometimes, or folks or entrepreneurs who want to start their own
Yeah.
thing, hey, don't just hurry and quit your day job. It might just be the place, the crucible to learn a
Yeah.
lot of stuff and fine tune your craft before making the leap.
100%. You're right. And I am really fortunate that I was working at a giant company like American Express that could
Yeah.
allow me I pitched the VPs, I raised money. I worked with the engineering team to build a small group of developers to eventually build out this technology. And so I went through many of the startup mechanisms in a very safe place with a safety net. And that was really my first external product experience because I'd built a lot of internal products before that. But the Ready Response product at American Express was my first externally facing product. And it felt really great because it was combining the things that I'm passionate about, serving others and helping understanding what it means to be in a crisis situation or insecure.
Yeah, totally. Which brings me to, for those who are listening and wondering, In a nutshell, what is OZZI for someone who hears the name and curious about what OZZI is?
Yeah, so OZZI is a global safety app that helps people make safer and informed decisions with real-time alerts and risk maps for the entire world. So no matter where you go, you can have the confidence to have a 360-degree view of safety if you're traveling with your family, if you're in the city, anywhere in the world.
Amazing. iOS and Android or either?
Yep, it's on both iOS and Google Play, and we have everybody can sign up for free and try it out and experience
Amazing.
what it's like to have government grade information because crazy after I left the company, we're looking for our first customers. We're thinking we're going to go into consumer. We have a barely functioning MVP. We're pitching investors. And the adversity of that moment is where do you go in your entrepreneurial journey when you have no
Yeah.
experience doing this for yourself? And that coupled with a bad sandwich led me to a community at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency that offered us a deal to do business with the government. I was able to
Wow.
secure a letter of intent with my broken MVP from this intelligence agency, and we spent a year getting it ready, going through NSA, DoD vetting, and at the end of it, it was a authority to operate in the United States government with an indefinite quantity of licenses that the government would buy from us. It was an incredible position to be
Oh
in.
my God. That's
The un
amazing.
the adversity though, once we crossed that line was COVID. We came to market on March 11th, 2020, and 2 days later, the entire world basically shut down. So here
Yeah.
we were, we built a custom travel safety experience for the US government, got approval to operate on their technology networks, and then boom, nobody had a need for our product. And
Oh
so
my
it was
God.
terrible. Spent a lot of time networking, building relationships, and we ended up earning some money from the government. We have testimonials from people who are now generals, congressmen, senators. We even supported the US government during the Afghanistan evacuation in 2021 by providing real-time checkpoint control intelligence to the US Senate. So it was an incredible experience that my co-founder and I have no government background whatsoever.
Yeah.
So getting into that position was really fortunate for us. And we just had an opportunity and we had prepared with this concept and this MVP and we were ready to deliver. So it was exciting.
Oh my goodness. That is wild. Fast forward to 2023, June
Yeah.
now. Are you still working with the US government or is that still a thing that you're going to explore again?
So we actually pivoted away from the US government in 21. So the small business technical contract that we were on, it was completely removed. They displaced more than 50 small business owners, people that had invested precious startup capital into infrastructure costs, into relationships, into all of these
Oh
things.
man.
They just canceled it. And we literally only got an email. They didn't even meet with us to talk about a transition plan. They didn't offer a transition. It was just, sorry, we're ending this. That's it. And we had to figure out what to do. We had no idea, right? We knew that we had this government grade safety product and it was built for travelers, but is it something that is ready for the public market? Is it ready for business? And we really didn't know. So we got this, it was crazy. We got the word about this displacement about the same time that we were pitching at the Arizona Innovation Challenge finals in 2021. And so it was a mix of emotions of finally making it to the finals, having this disappointment, and then also having to communicate that disappointing news. And we ended up not winning. Terrible.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, every entrepreneur deals with this. Everybody wants hockey stick growth up and to the right, but the reality is it just doesn't happen like that. You go around and you iterate and you go through all these things, but you have to be willing to never, give up. And
Yeah.
that adversity there was met with our internal network. We were able to procure 5 different letters of intent from travel agencies that said, hey, look, if you can pivot this to the consumer market, we'll buy it. We raised money on those letters of intent. We positioned our app to be released on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And in October of 22, we released to the public. And since then, we've had more than 5,000 downloads. We have recurring monthly revenue and we have retention. All of the things that are now things that should have happened back in 2020 when we first came to market. All of those things are finally happening. COVID's no longer an issue, and we're helping people stay safer all around the world. It's an exciting experience.
That is amazing. And that brings out another quality that I have found for good entrepreneurs who stay in the game, and is tenacity. And I would say ability to pivot on a dime, because if anything is going to happen, it's going to be change. That's for sure. Just being able to pivot your business model and your offering is huge, and staying in the game, not tapping out, because there's going to be a lot of adversity.
Yeah,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
but so I think that is the thing people need to be aware of is if you think that this cut is deep, there might be a deeper one coming. And if you aren't prepared to stand back up again and heal yourself, whether that's through whatever healthy means necessary. And since I started my entrepreneurial journey, I quit drinking alcohol. I've taken better care of myself, because in order to do this thing, you just have to be sharp and you have to be ready to go out there 24/7, because this thing never stops at all.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about CrossFit. Was that when you took on some high
Actually,
intensity working out?
I was still drinking. So there's no way I could do CrossFit and entrepreneur stuff. There's no way. I actually gave up CrossFit before I started my entrepreneurial journey. But yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. That was a fun part of my life.
It's awesome. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much, Ozzy. We've touched on quite a few things here, but I want to make it to bring it together for those like you who maybe are, if I could use the term, entrepreneurs for now, and they have these ideas, they'd like to start their own thing. They don't know how to get started, or for some reason they're stuck. That's a very broad question. But what are some things you could pick, any or all of those, to talk through from your own anecdotal experience? What's some advice you have for such a person?
It's a great question, because I came to market with product experience, but not really fundraising experience and how to communicate a concept through a business lens. The unfortunate thing is, when you are a startup, you have to move at lightning speed. And it doesn't matter if you're inexperienced or you are experienced, you have to constantly talk to people, get your idea vetted, and manage both the product and the business side of the house simultaneously. There's really no differentiation. That's if you're trying to raise money, if you're trying to go fast. But if you are taking your time and you're going slow and you have a day job and you want to iterate without that, just constantly go out, test your ideas, get feedback. If you don't have money for a product yet, talk to people about your product. Talk to the people that would be consumers of your product, right? We sell direct to consumer. So I'm not going to go talk to some CFO about whatever, because that's just not where we're selling, right? So if you are B2B, talk to the B2B people that would buy it. If you're direct to consumer, talk to literally everybody that you know, and always show up to events. This is a community process. Entrepreneurship is 100% community built. There's no such thing as a self-made person. There's everybody around you, whether it's the people that maintain our roads, or if it's the people that keep our lights on, or all of the mentors in the community that have given their time for free to help me in my journey. There's nothing that I've done here on my own. It's a community effort every single day. And I'm very fortunate to have a co-founder and a community of mentors that keep me going and keep me motivated.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I like what you said there. That's something I was thinking about the other day, the fallacy of self-made, right? It sounds nice, self-made, whatever, self-made that. But in truth, we are made by all of those before us who've poured into us. And it's a cycle. You can decide to be selfish and don't do the same. But I think what makes the world go around is, as we learn and others teach us and help us grow and give us a hand, we do the same thing, and we do the same thing just to carry that forward. Like you said, and I think you embody that really well. I've seen you in the community, see you engage, we roll in the same circles. So I really appreciate you, and I'm thankful that you got to hop on with me today.
Yeah. So one of the things that you asked me earlier, Nebi, was my why. And one of my favorite music artists, he says, you can't dream if your ego is broke.
Ooh,
and
that's deep.
And the overwhelming stress of insecurity in our communities leads to shattered futures. And I know that because I personally experienced, and it's difficult to break through trauma. And at its core, that's why I built OZZI. I want to give people the opportunity or the ability to see beyond the insecurity and to achieve their dreams. Because if that's taking your kids or like taking care of your family at home or traveling the world, my vision for OZZI is to empower confidence and personal safety for anyone, anywhere.
I love it. And I got to use OZZI. They have some trips coming. I guess I'll be giving you some feedback here.
Yeah, man. I'm open. Let us know how we can get better.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Oh my
All right, man.
gosh.
That's good stuff.
It's amazing. Thank you. No,
You bet.
thank you so much.